What's up, guys? You're watching Poot's Garage. This week we are going to be working on something we kind of started a while ago, but then we kind of put on hold because I beat the truck up a little bit. So we're going to start working on getting that rear recovery point put back together, and not really put back together, but actually built. We got to finish this thing. So we're just out here in the garage. We are enjoying the day. The weather's finally getting nice. Everything's kind of a mess right now, not going to lie. I've been reorganizing everything, our new cabinets. We got new cabinets going on here, so that's cool. You can see we're starting to put stuff in them, starting to get things filled up, and kind of putting things where I need them to be useful. Those two over there are more long-term storage type things, just because I can't really reach them that well. I got some stuff put on top, things that I need to get off the floor out here in the garage. New sink is working awesome. It's so nice to be able to wash my hands out here and clean things and do whatever I need to do in a sink in the garage. I don't have to go in the house anymore. So much nicer. But let's get to this stuff. I got this pile of metal on the ground here that's been bugging the crap out of me since I put it there. So I'm gonna pull that back out here and let's figure out what we're doing. So this is what we're dealing with. I've got this old receiver that I pulled off of this truck, and I'm pretty sure it's specific to this truck, but it does bolt together on the ends. These ends slide out of those side brackets. Now this thing used to hang below the frame, but we're gonna change that up here. We're actually not gonna use these side brackets anymore. So we're just gonna utilize this section here because the width is actually just about perfect. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna put that receiver in between the frame rails, so it's going to move it up in between. The receiver itself will still hang down a little low, but that's fine. And then we're going to build brackets to somehow fill in the inside of the frame here, and we're probably just going to bolt it together for now. I don't really want to weld it in permanently because this isn't going to be its final form. Eventually we're going to be building bumpers off of that, I think. So I just want to make sure I can take it back out as needed, but there's enough holes drilled on the side of the frame already that we can reuse. So I'm not worried about how to mount it in there and stuff. So I think it's gonna work out pretty good. So you can see I've already grinded down the ends here, just to give me some good clean metal. And then I had this old bracket here that actually mounted it to the aftermarket bumper that used to be on this truck as well. This is some super thick, like 3/8 metal. I think we're actually gonna be able to utilize the angles of it, and we're gonna get it to be able to fit inside the frame using those. We're just gonna cut it up, weld it up, trying to make it one big piece, slide it in, and then bolt it in. Let's see how this works out. So I've been under here for the last half hour, just kind of staring at stuff and planning things out, trying to figure out how I'm gonna make this work. I think I have a plan. So basically we have 4-inch width there, and then like a 2-inch, 2.5-inch width there. So we're obviously gonna cut off this section. I'm gonna cut this in half, and we'll use these big angle pieces left and right, and they will fit perfect in the height here and the bottom. So that'll make the L bottom tight. And then we just got to come up with something to kind of tie in the top of the frame too. I'll probably had just a little small section. I'm not going to tie in this bed bolt here because it's basically only into sheet metal up above, so it's really not adding that much to frame strength. It's kind of interesting. All these bed bolts are completely loose, because I think the sheet metal is kind of compressed and whatnot over time, so they're just kind of hanging out there tight. So we do need to go through and tighten those. But in order to get this all done, you can see my frame here is bent up. The top of the frame is really nasty. It's bent down. This is not as important, but I still want to try and straighten that. This here is not too bad. That there, I can actually put a pair of pliers on, and I could probably just bend it down. The hard part's gonna be getting that to go back up, but I think we have little plans here. We can use jacks and stuff to kind of push and pull things around. So I think we can make it work. So first things first is I gotta straighten this frame out a little bit, and then we can start cutting and welding and fitting stuff up. And then the last thing I'm about to do is, since this bracket's gonna be so big and significant, and it's gonna pretty much have to slide straight in, I'm just gonna have to notch out this lower section of the bed here to make it go straight in. But that's not that big a deal because that metal's all in bad shape anyways, so it's not gonna hurt to cut that out. Bravo. straight enough now. This one was actually surprisingly hard to get that little bump out of the bottom. Got some of it, but I'm not gonna worry too much about the bottom. The top on this one was already good. This one here, the top was really bad. Now it's really good. It's got maybe just a slight little bit of a dip, but I wouldn't be able to get that out without taking the whole bed off. But I mean, I'm bending the frame plus trying to get the bed to kind of tweak up a little too with it. The bottom of the frame actually looks really good on this side. This side's solid. This side's a little funky on the bottom, but we can work with it. I'm happy. In order to do that, I had this guy here. It's a little like jack screw I've had for years. And actually put a longer bolt in there to give me a little more extension. But basically, you put this up in there, you hold the top with a wrench or something, and then you turn the center section. It's got a bearing on the bottom. And so it just spreads apart. And so we stuck that between the frame rails and kind of did that, but it was also bending, actually wanted to bend the bottom of the frame down more than the top. So we stuck the floor jack underneath it with a 2x4 on the bottom of the frame to support that, and then lots of hammering and tweaking and stuff. And yeah, we got it, we're good. So at this point, I think we're ready to start cutting up and fitting some of these chunks in there to figure out how we're gonna make it all fit up. Now the fun part, cutting this thing. This is super thick. It's probably 3/8. Now originally I was just gonna go cut off wheel, but man, looking at this, it's gonna be a battle with the cut off wheel. So we're gonna try, we have this plasma cutter, this little Hypotherm 30. And this is like their smallest one. I think it's rated for up to 3/8 steel. I'm not sure, but we're just gonna go ahead and give it a shot. I don't know if it'll be able to do it or if my electricity in this garage will even be able to do it, because it's gonna be pulling all the power. So basically we're just gonna try and cut right across this entire weld that's already on here. So it's right on the angle. Yeah, we're just gonna have to try and give it a shot. It's kind of tapered, so hopefully the weld is maybe a hair thinner there. But we're gonna find out here in a minute. We're gonna try this out. Hot feet. I need to put some boots on. It's definitely not all the way through, but it's getting something. And you can see what this is doing. This is actually the back side. You can see how it's cutting, but it's kind of re-welding itself back together. But luckily, it's not very good. It's almost more like slag. You can kind of break it off a little bit here and there. But it's pretty good. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it back over and just run the cutoff wheel, that guy, all along the cut. And that'll just kind of easily cut and clean it all up. And then I just got to still cut these corner pieces off, and then it won't be in 2 pieces, but yeah, it's a lot of work trying to reuse metal like this, but we're getting it done. We'll make it look good when we're done. And we got it apart. I'm not gonna touch it because it's so hot. So you can see how much we're cutting on this. I mean, it's too thick for this machine, that's for sure. But we're cutting straight through the middle of a weld. Plus this thick metal, it's ridiculous. So we're gonna be able to clean this up. A lot of this is just kind of like slag. It should come off pretty easy. I did cut into the metal a little bit on accident, but was it worth it? I don't know. If you can afford to do it, just buy new metal. Reusing old metal sucks, especially when you gotta cut it like this. So we're getting it, but it's just a pain in the butt. And for the next step, I need to actually cut this thing completely in half now. I'm just gonna use the cutoff wheel because I'm kind of tired of breathing smoke. And once I cut that with the plasma cutter, I'm gonna have to clean up the weld or the cuts anyways. So we'll just cut it off with the cutoff wheel and see how much easier it is. Maybe it's not. It is thick. I mean, I could burn through a couple discs just doing that, but I don't know. Let's see. This is our experiment. We'll try it out and see what happens. If you didn't notice, I upped my safety game. I have these giant goggles on now. Just something that can go over my glasses. Not so much that I've ever hurt my eyes or I was worried about it. It's more that I keep getting sparks landing on the glasses themselves and making little burn marks on them. And yeah, I can't see out of my glasses anymore. So yeah, we got little safety goggles on now. Alright, now that we got them cut in half, our next step here is to actually clean these up. I'm going to get the grinder out, and we're just going to go to town on these to clean up all these rough cuts. I'm not too worried about the roughness too much, because that's going to be hidden. There is a lot of edges and stuff that need to be smoothed out, cleaned up. We'll make these usable, and then, God, we got to start fitting things up in there and figuring out what we're doing. We gotta drill a bunch of holes through the. Ooh, man, I gotta drill holes through these. That's gonna suck. But but we'll get through this. We got brackets made. I'll show you those in a second. Next, we got to cut down this the main piece, the main receiver. I got to cut a 1/4 inch off each end. Ugh, more cutting. This is probably, I don't know, 1/4 inch steel, so it's a little easier than that 3/8, but I'm getting tired of cutting. My nostrils are full of black boogers right now, and it's just a pain in the butt, but we're getting through it. So, whew. And for now, whew. Yeah, let me show you those brackets. This is kind of our finished bracket. Looks good, it's all usable. Cuts don't look horrible. I'll clean it up later so I can paint it and make it look decent, but it just kind of, oh yeah, we kind of notched out our bed here too. Real rough. But it just kind of slides in, fits in there solid. That thing is not going anywhere. This rear frame section is gonna be super strong. You can see I kind of notched it out so it'll clear the cross member right there, and then it slides back as far as possible, so we'll have full engagement. I think I have 2 bolt holes I can put back here. I'm hoping to grab 2 bolt holes up here. Then I'll probably put 1 or 2 bolts on the bottom, so this thing's gonna be tied in everywhere. Probably just 1 on the bottom. And we got the same thing going on back here. Fits in there perfect. I am happy with those now. I'm glad that major cutting is done. But next we gotta cut that receiver over there on the bench, which is more work, but we're getting through it. Alright, I think this is as far as I'm going to go tonight, because it's getting kind of late. But you can see, we are tucked up in there. Receiver is all nice and high. This part hangs down a little bit, but I'm really not worried about that. When I build bumpers, that's pretty much going to be the level of that bumper anyways, so it's going to be looking pretty good. See, we got a nice tight fit everywhere. We got lots of room to weld and run bolts through. So basically we're gonna weld these brackets to the receiver. I'll probably tack weld them at some point here just to kind of get them in place, and then we'll pull the whole thing out, finish welding all the way around it, And then we'll have to come through and drill our holes, install bolts every which way that we want to do to make it nice and strong. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. I like it. I like how tucked up it is. I'm liking it. I am liking it a lot. You can see it doesn't really stick out past the tailgate at all. It does hang down a little bit there. Lots of ground clearance still. It's way up there. Let's go. What's up? We're in the middle of the video, probably. We're getting back into this. So this has actually been quite a few weeks now that I've worked on this rear recovery point. I'm way overthinking it, way over engineering it, but it's real simple. But I kind of lost interest. But anyways, we're getting back into it. So kind of marked up. I've been looking at stuff, trying to figure out where we're going today with this. And basically I'm ready to start drilling holes and whatnot. So let me show you where we're at. So I'm not sure where I left you guys off a couple minutes ago in the video, but these are our brackets. And I went through and I actually marked the holes that I'm using. And this is just kind of, the way I'm going to mount this is going to be based on holes I already have and fasteners that I already have. So I got big holes back here and I have big holes to fill those. We're putting 5/8 bolts back there. So this thing's going to be super strong. I have 1/2 bolts here, which I'm going to put, yep, this one. We're going to put a 1/2 here, and then I'm going to drill a fresh hole through both of them down here and put another 1/2. So we'll have 1/2 bolts on the back side, big 5/8 on there. This thing ain't going nowhere. And we got this thing cut down to length so it slides right in there. It's gonna fit right in. So basically, yeah, at this point I just gotta start drilling these holes and trying to make everything match up. You can see our holes there. I kind of ran a paint pen in there so I can mark them. Just trying to see where things are going, make sure it's not going to interfere with my welding, because I'm going to basically be welding that big square chunk. Oh, I forget. Right down here, down to the bottom. So I'm going to be welding on the back side of this like there. So I just need to make sure hole's clear.
It's the money.
Okay, we're done drilling. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but you know, you step it up 100 times with a bunch of different bits, and then you get to the last size and you realize your bit just doesn't quite work correctly. So close. But anyways, we got it done. So our outer hole is a 1/2 That's an easy one. These ones we had to step up to 5/8, and this one was, it's kind of hard because I'm using the step bit, which is one of these, but the problem is the steps are not as thick as the metal, so you kind of have to make do with what you got. Even when going from one side and then the other side, it still doesn't quite get the last bit, so you kind of have to I don't know, it's messy. Not a big fan of it, but you can see I got a step inside of there just because I had to go over a little to get the final size I needed. This side was ended up being too close to the edge there, so yeah, you can see how little material we have there. At least it's thick. And then I had to grind down the corner there to even make room for the bolt head to fit down there. But it works. Now this is almost done. What we're gonna have to do is put it back on the truck and actually drill the bottom still. We gotta go up to a 1/2 on this one also. But at least we got regular drill bits for that. Not to mention I still have to do that entire thing on this one also. Oh boy. So I'm not going to bore you with any more drilling videos, so I'm just going to get this done. Let's put Robbie Layton on hold while we come over here and check out what we did. So I am all done drilling holes. As you can see, I got my 3 bolts going through, 2 of them coming in from the inside. Probably how we'll install them, because I'm not going to have very good access back there. But anyways, yeah, we got 3 holes. We got 3 holes over there. And so kind of at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to, I think I'm just going to tack weld this unit in and kind of start figuring out where I want to put this thing in there. And then, I don't know, I might save the final holes for the very end. I don't know, we'll see. Still trying to determine, do I want to have this giant orange one back here? Am I going to paint this thing Poots Garage orange, or should I just do this one black? Kind of thinking doing this one black. I don't know. It might just be a little too much orange back here if I do that. So it's kind of part of the frame at this point. So yeah, I might just do it. I don't know. Maybe we can think of something special to put on there. I don't know. Next, we put BSF recovery on hold while we continue filming. I put this thing in there, had it all bolted up. I actually tack welded the main piece to the side pieces now. So you can see we're just tack welded here, one on the bottom. I also ended up tack welding nuts on everywhere because I was gonna have a hard time accessing the back sides here. There's not a whole lot of room after I put all this together. So I was like, well, might as well just weld the nuts on. So we're gonna do that. And yeah, we'll just end up with, we got nice bolts just ready to go. I put the bolts back in because I'm going to be welding a lot. So trying to protect those threads a little bit from the heat and maybe, you know, splatter and different things that are going to happen here over time. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. So now we're going to be able to go, we're going to be able to weld all the way around that. So the bottom side here, we'll be able to weld along there, all the way in, around. So it's going to be fully welded, fully strong. And I have a feeling, just looking at it, I just don't like this thing hanging down below. So I have a feeling I'm going to cutting it off, actually moving this inline, weld it up, make a new plate on the bottom to tie it all in. It's just bugging me with how low it hangs, and it's just, it looks like an anchor there, and I don't know, it just doesn't, it looks out of place. So I think I'm gonna move it up. It's gonna be a lot more work. I gotta cut a bunch of welds, but we're here, might as well do it now.
It's the money. 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 It's the money, it's the money, it's the money, yeah. It's the money, it's the money, it's the money, yeah.
Quick update. This is probably as far as I'm going tonight. I'm gonna keep you further away here so you can't look too close at the welds as usual. It is strong, I can guarantee you that. I did 2 passes over everything just because my welder might be struggling a little on this really thick stuff. This is overkill. But this is good. This is working out really good. It's very strong. Way overkill. It is not going anywhere. Next, we pretty much need to clean this thing up. I'm probably gonna end up modifying that center section, move it. But yeah, we'll modify some more. We're gonna clean it up, paint. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do still. Ugh. And it's the next day. We actually cut through this thing a lot last night. I ended up cutting all this stuff off, and it's a lot of work. My recommendation to anybody doing this type of stuff is just start from scratch. Buy new material. Buy a 2-inch square tube, quarter wall, and just build it from scratch. And don't reuse old brackets that are like 7/16 inch thick. It's just a pain in the butt. So we ended up cutting all this stuff off. It was a real job there to be able to cut through all those welds to be able to get that thing off of there. But we're doing it. What we're working with, just wasting time at this point, it seems like. And then this piece here, I still gotta cut a couple more of those welds on top, get that flat piece off, and then we'll get a nice clean cut right about there. I can even cut it closer if I want to make it shorter, but I think the length will be good if I just cut it straight down. And then at that point, we weld it back on, and then we have to cut a plate. And since we're already wasting time and using junk metal, like I do have some nice stuff here, but I'm kind of saving this because I bought that for another project. We might just cut a chunk of this. I think this piece right along here will be big enough to make a nice plate to tie it all in. I don't know. It's just, I just want to get through this project at this point. So let's get to it. Back to work. This is where we are at now. So I've welded on this guy here, and not too bad. Looks good. Got some decent welds on there. And next we have to figure out, I don't want this thing to fall off the bench because that would be a lot of noise. So next we have to figure out the plate that I'm going to weld over all of this to kind of tie it all in. So I pulled out my horrible looking piece of metal. I'm going to try and cut a large section of this out and use that on there. Lots of grinding to clean that up. I don't know why I keep reusing this junk. I hate it. I need to start getting a good stock. I mean, I have good metal right here. I mean, it's perfect. I just have to trace it, cut. Maybe I'll use that. We'll see. I don't know yet. This one went a little bit smoother, but we got that all cleaned up and ready to go. This is all cut. It's pretty warm. Grinded all the paint and the rust off of it. It's gonna go on like that, weld it down, and then this thing is pretty much done. I'm gonna run a bead across here. It's actually the bottom side that we're looking at. So yeah, it's coming along. Cleater's on pause. We walk over here. This is the weld cooling station. You open the door, turn the fan on, put your piece in front of it. Here we are. We are pretty much done welding. I ran a couple beads on this little outer piece just to make sure that doesn't get knocked off, and it's looking good. I like it. So it's just cooling off before I do a final fit, drill, clean up, and paint. That's pretty much it. It is in. I don't have any washers on. It's not obviously finish install. This hole is drilled along with that one over there. Ended up going just a little bit smaller to a 7/16 bolt just because there's not a whole lot of real estate up there to work with. So making a smaller bolt fit a little better. You can see, I think it looks pretty good. I like it. Welds look decent. It is now up tight to the body. Doesn't really stick out too far. Actually is about flush with the body at this point. So it's kind of in a good spot. I like it. I think we're gonna enjoy this. Now we just need to pull it back out, clean everything up, paint it, then we're done. All right, it's the next day. Yeah, we jumped in the truck. We did a little cruise down Main Street. Something they do like once a month on a Friday. Pretty cool, pretty fun. Meet some people, see some cars, whatever. So let's get back to working on this. I finished welding everything, drilled that last hole. Everything's ready to go. Got bugs on my hand. And next we need to do paint. So I've actually started that, so let's go check it out. Now I told you I'm not gonna do this Poots Garage orange. We should do black, something to kind of blend into the frame and whatnot. So let's see what we're doing. Damn it, it's orange. And there it is, we are done, finally. How many weeks? This thing took like 2 months for me to build. I just kind of kept doing little tiny things to it here and there. I am so glad it's finally done. We pushed through this weekend and we got it done, so. Yeah, I'm happy. Did I mention we got it done? I'm happy. Yeah, buddy. So we got it painted orange. I know I didn't really want to do orange in the beginning, but once I decided to kind of modify it, tuck it up a little tighter, I don't know, the orange kind of works better, I think. It's not this giant thing hanging down anymore. Now it's kind of snuck up in there. I like it. So we just got to put this thing on now. That is definitely strong. It ain't going nowhere. And we're back again. This video has been a nightmare to edit. I'm actually editing it right now, but I needed to do this final little part still. Oh, God. So I got back from camping last weekend and my allergies just annihilated me to the point where my eyeballs swelled shut. And then I got the sinus infection. It was just nasty, Jesus. So I'm getting over that. So, I feel crappy. But we got to get this, we got to install this hitch real quick. There's been so much going on between the last time I painted it, basically, and now I need to install it. So the next video is going to be a mess, too. So let's install this thing real quick and be done with it. Oh, boy. Well, that's it. Some bolts, finish it up. And we are done. That thing is super solid. Those big bolts are like 9/16 or something ridiculous. Little bolt in the front is 1/2 inch and the small one's like a 7/16. That is not going anywhere. That thing is solid. And it looks good. I'm really glad I brought that up to make it level. It looks much better in my opinion. Tucked up, nice and tight. Just barely sticks out, not even from the tailgate. Pretty much level, even. And it gives us a perfect base now that we can add when we build our bumper. We can attach our bumper to that because it's solid enough. And then my bumper's gonna wrap around and I might attach further in front of the spring plates too to really tie the back of the frame in a little bit more. So yeah, this is getting good. I like it. I'm so jealous of my neighbor, my new neighbor over there. He's putting concrete on the side of his house. I need to do that so bad. A little better view, a little further away. Doesn't look too obnoxious. Actually ties in that rear suspension real good with the color and everything. Yeah, we are done. All right, now that that's finally done, we can move on to the next thing, but that will be for another video. And I think that next thing is gonna have to be, we got them hydraulic bump stops that we got to fabricate brackets for and make them fit. So I'm pretty excited about that. But that's the next big thing. Let's go.